Okay,
Yeah.
Re recording is in progress. So your class is going to be recorded. Oof, I don't know. I will have to wear. Let me. Excuse me. I'm gonna wear a sweater. Wait a minute, please.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I have already closed the door. In in this, which is my bedroom, it's really, really cold, and it's 5 o'clock. It's five,
Oh.
10 minutes, 14 minutes, 30 minutes after 5. But it is really, really cold. I don't know. It's really cold. It seems to me that it is December right now. Okay, now let me check. Okay, here we are. We are talking about music and what changes have music suffered. Okay, now, could you please read the questions first before reading so that you get the idea of what you are going to answer, okay? Before reading. Okay, can you read? Can you read the instruction here in part B?
Yes. What about you? Answer these questions about your own country's music.
Okay, now, when you say answer, pay attention to the correct
Answer.
pronunciation for answer, answer. The W is not pronounced, not pronounced. It's not answer.
Answer.
No, no, no. Answer, no. Answer. It's mispronounced. You
Answer.
don't pronounce the W. Okay? So it's like connecting answer, answer.
Okay.
This is the correct pronunciation. I want you to pronounce correctly, okay? So you follow my instructions, please, okay? Now, what kind of music do you think your grandparents, okay, can you read it, the next one? Can you read this one?
Yes. What kind of music do you think your grandparents listen to? Do you like do you like this kind of music? 2. Was rock and roll important to your parents? Was there someone like Elvis Presley or the Beatles in your country? Who?
Okay,
Number 3. What kind of popular music do you listen to? It is influenced by any of the musical forms discussed in the article. Which ones?
which ones? Okay, when you say, is it influenced? Is it influenced? Like a
Is
final
it
T. Is it
influenced?
influenced like a final T, uh, by
Okay.
any of the musicians, by any of the musical
Influence.
forms? It's discussed, discussed. It's like a final T,
Discussed.
discussed, okay? In the article,
Okay.
when you pronounce the article, why the? Because there is a vowel here, you see? The vowel
The art.
the article.
Okay.
These are some of the rules of a correct pronunciation in English. If you pronounce correctly,
Okay.
okay, good. You have a very good fluency and pronunciation. You don't have any problem. But I correct some mistakes, and that's okay. Now, let's
Okay.
read everything about music. What is the music change? By the way, you don't know any of these. Elvis Presley. Elvis
No.
Presley died when I was studying at the university 50 years ago. 50 years ago. And what about the Beatles? I
My
think
God.
there is only one Beatle. Do you know the Beatles?
I
You don't
think that
know.
I'm heard
The
of
Yellow
them, but I
Submarine.
don't know.
You don't know. They were four British boys who started playing the guitar and singing melodies which were not used to be played in Great Britain, you know, when in the 1960s, when I was a 10 or 12-year-old boy. But they were yeah, I mean, they were in fashion, they were famous. Everybody sang those songs of John Lennon. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Of course, my voice is not that way. Okay, let's read the article about the popular music, how it has changed the music.
Okay.
Can you please read the first paragraph right here?
Yes. Popular music has changed a lot in the last year. 100 years in the United States. From jazz to rock to hip hop, music is always moving forward.
Moving forward, moving forward. Okay, when you say has
Forward.
changed, has
Has
changed,
changed.
changed. In
Changed.
this situation, you have to pronounce the final D, like changed,
Changed.
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 But it's not changed yet, it's changed. You connect the J sound with the D, changed, changed. Okay, so you pronounce correctly. Okay, popular music has changed a lot in the last 100 years
100 years
in the United
in the
States.
United States.
From jazz to rock to hip hop, music is always moving forward, moving forward. Are there any words that you don't understand?
What is forward?
Okay, moving forward means to go a step ahead, a step ahead. When you say a step ahead, it means a distance, taking the distance from the present to the past, to the future, from past to the future. Step ahead means to go forward, means to advance, advance. You know, advance, advance
Yes.
to go farther, to go farther, to change the position, to change the place, to go farther. How would you translate that into Spanish when you say goes or moves, moves farther, moves forward, moves ahead, ahead, moves
O sea,
straight
como
there?
dando pasos hacia adelante.
Okay, this is move ahead, means to go to the future, change to, okay, that's moving, step from here, step there, okay, to advance,
Okay.
advance.
Okay.
You understand advance?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, now, jazz music, continue from this to here, this.
Jazz music begin, right?
Jazz music began to make its appearance.
Or begin? Begin or
Began, began. Begin is
Began.
present. Began is past.
Okay,
Jazz
began.
music. Jazz
Okay,
music
jazz
began.
music began to make its appearance about a century ago in the United States as the fusion of European and African musical forms that people could immediately identify as something very new. Musicians all over the world began to play jazz and to make important contributions from their own musical cultures. An example of this, bossa nova new beat, which began to emerge in Brazil in the 1950s.
In the 1950s. In the 1950s. When you're talking in the 1950s, the decade, the 10 years from 1950 to 1959, you know, the 1950s.
Yes.
The year when I was born in 1953. Okay.
Oh.
Now, yeah, I am 68 years old. Okay, now, when you said appearance, it looks like, repeat it, appearance.
Appearance.
Hey, similar to, you know, appearance, similar to, okay? You say
Yes.
experience. Okay, and you say, for example, a century ago in the United States, as a fusion, we say fusion. Repeat fusion. Fusion.
Fusion. Fusion.
The end is shin. Fusion. Okay.
Fusion.
Of
Fusion.
European African music. African music. You know, the drums. The drums comes from Africa. Okay, that people could immediately. Okay, repeat. This was another word that cost a little bit to you. Immediately. Repeat. Immediately.
Immediately.
That's correct. Immediately. There is a kind of a stress here. Immediately. Immediately. Okay.
Immediately.
And when you say this,
Immediately.
you say identify, identify. Many people used to say identify, but some others say identify, identify, identify.
Identify.
Identify as something very new. Okay. Some people pronounce new, some people pronounce new. There is kind of difference, but it is okay if you mention any of them. Musicians all over the world began to play jazz. Jazz, you know what jazz is? Kind of music, okay, that comes from New Orleans, for example. New Orleans, which is in Louisiana in the United States, you know, the music, the kind of music of black people. Black people start playing the trumpet and singing kind of rhythm that was the rhythm of black people, you know, and everybody began to imitate that kind of music, which was called the jazz, kind of soft and quickly, soft and quickly, like rhythm that goes up and down, up and down. That's the jazz. Okay, to make important contributions of their own musical cultures. An example is bossa nova. Bossa nova is in Brazil, right? The new beat is kind of a new rhythm in Brazil, okay, in the 1950s. Yeah, I remember the name of a famous orchestra director, but no, I don't remember. I can't put. No, my brain doesn't work for 50 years ago. I forgot it. I forgot it. I was trying to remember the bossa nova and kind of music. Now tell me, which words you do not understand clearly, or you have any problem in here in this paragraph?
No, I think that I understand it all.
Everything. Fusion is a combination. Remember, fusion.
Yes.
A combination.
Fusion.
Many combinations are done. Okay, good. Now, but observe the music has changed. Okay, now let's continue with this paragraph when you talk about jazz and the popular singers like Benny Goodman. Okay, now, can you please read it all up to here?
Yes. Jazz evolved into swing in the 1930s and 1940s, with large orchestras playing music that people would dance to. The big bands of Count Basie, Doug Ellington, Benny Goodman, and Artie Shaw were very popular. However, the expense of maintaining large orchestras and changing taste led to a quite different kind of popular music in the 1950s.
Okay, when you say orchestras, repeat, this CH is pronounced like Q, like Q, like K, orchestras. Let me check it out. Let me check it out, because I sometimes, I get sometimes confused with this. So let me check it out here. orchestras, orchestras, orchestras.
Orchestras.
Okay, orchestras. Okay, orchestras. In this case, okay, orchestra. But let me check it from Portuguese or from English or from, okay, orchestras, orchestras. Let me write it down. Orchestras. Okay, in this case, you don't have any problem. Wait a minute, please. I'm gonna check it. Mhm. Orchestras. Okay, the most accent is on orchestras, but the K sound is pronounced that way. I don't know if you are able to listen to that sound over there that says tamales, deliciosos tamales. Can you listen to that? Can you
Yeah.
listen to that? There is a truck that is coming, or a vehicle that is coming every afternoon in order to offer tamales, you know, for 10 pesos. Okay, orchestras. The pronunciation of the K sound is okay, but there is an accent in orchestras. Orchestras. Listen, if you can listen to it.
Orchestras. Yeah.
Or, ¿puedes escucharlo, Nicole? A ver.
Orchestras.
¿Tú estás escuchando el Google Translate?
No.
¿No? Ok. Ah, es que ya va. Aguántate un momentito. Vamos a prestar. A ver si me escucha. Ahora le voy a dar. ¿Lo pudiste escuchar?
No.
Okay, let me stop sharing this. Let me stop sharing this and let me share this one here. And let me tell you.
Orchestras, 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 orchestras,
Is it okay? Can you listen to it?
Yeah.
orchestras,
Orchestras, but the K is K sound. The CH is not pronounced CH.
orchestras,
Orchestras. Let me check it out. Orchestras.
Orquestas.
Okay.
orchestras,
Orchestras. Can you pronounce it when I click in here? When you see my fingers move, you pronounce orchestras. Okay.
Okay.
orchestras,
Orchestras.
orchestras,
It's okay. You pronounce correctly. And that's the way you have to do, okay? You have to check your pronunciation check your pronunciation by using the Google Translate, okay? So let me share again this one. So orchestras, I noticed that orchestras, the stress is an or, and then you pronounce the CH like a K sound. Orchestras, orchestras.
Orchestras.
And you try to pronounce it correctly. Okay, now, are there any words in here that you do not understand? You tell me. Apart from a lot of proper nouns of singers or, you know, composers, musicians, you know, that are included here. Do you have any question about any particular word that you do not understand in here? It's okay. Okay, you understood it.
What refers to changing taste lead?
Okay, the taste is related to this, you know, when you take your food, the taste, you know, the taste
the taste of the
first,
food.
okay,
Yes.
from sweet to salt, you know, There is a difference.
Yes.
Taste. But you can take that word taste, which is the verb taste, to refer to the music, because there is something that likes to young people, but do not like to old people. Okay? Something that you like,
Okay.
some other people don't like. For example, changing the taste. Sometimes old people begin start listening to the modern music and get their ears accustomed to the music and to the rhythm, and they like it. But most of the time, old people do not like all kind of music. And children, young people do not like to listen to old people's music, you know?
Yes.
For example, you don't like listening to, let's say, imagine Frank Sinatra. Do you know Frank Sinatra?
No.
No, you have never heard about him. Okay, he sang very beautiful songs, and he was born long before me. Okay, he died about 10 years ago, right? But he used to sing a very popular song in New York, was New York, New York. Don't you remember have heard New York, New York? This
No.
little, no, I've never. What about the other, My Way? I did it my way. Never heard that? I did it my
Like I'm not good learning the name of the songs. Maybe if I heard,
Okay, if you
I
listen to the
can
song,
remember.
you will notice. Okay, that's okay. But he was a very popular singer in the United States, especially in New York. Okay, and for jazz, there was a famous jazz singer who was, I forgot their names. Some of their names are here. Benny Goodman, Duke Ellington, you know, and big bands like Count Basie, right? And Artie Shaw, right? These are kind of music played by bands, okay? Some of them were rock and roll bands, rock and roll popular music in the 1950s. Some others from 1930s, okay? Like jazz evolved from the music from 1930s to 1950s. And there was a change, and there was a change of taste, okay? About the
Yeah.
orchestra, okay? The orchestras that they have. For example, there was a famous orchestra in the United States, which was, what memory I have? Frank Purcell. Another orchestra was Paul Mauriat's orchestra. Paul Mauriat, very famous orchestras, two orchestras, which were really famous in the United States. And they were very popular all over the world. Paul Mauriat and Frank Purcell, right? They were very popular, very beautiful music, beautiful instrumental music. Well, okay, tell me, are there any questions apart from what you told me about the taste, changing the taste of the music, the likes? Anything else you didn't understanding here?
What refers lead? Like
Lead is the
what
past
refers?
tense of lead. You know, follow the leader, lead is the past tense for lead. When you conduct a group of people, you are the leader. You are the one whom everybody follows. So I am the leader, I go in front. Led. When you said led, conducted, you know what conduct means?
Yes.
When you say led, you can change that word for this one. Instead of led, you can say conducted. Blockhead. Led is the past tense of lead. Lead is in present. In past, it is led.
Okay.
The word leader comes from this word lead. Leader. A leader is a person who commands the group, right? The one
Yes.
who has, I mean, who has the order for the rest of the people, the one who everybody follows, everyone follows a leader, right? So there were several different authors in musical taste that everybody followed, okay? Everyone followed. So taste led to a quite different kind of popular music in the 1950s, okay? There was kind of change. There was kind of evolution. Music evolved, okay? Jazz evolved from the old jazz to the new ones, which had a very different, kind of different rhythm, different rhythm, okay? But most similar, but not exactly the same, okay? Similar, but not exactly the same. They were kind of different, popular music, okay? You understand the idea?
Okay.
The
Yes.
same as hip hop nowadays, okay? That comes from other music, okay? Now, any question, additional questions here?
Mm, and no.
No? Okay. Now, continue reading this paragraph here.
Okay. In the 1950s, the rock and roll electric guitar began to
Replace,
replace
replace.
began to replace the jazz horn bands with
Bands with only a guitarist, you know,
okay
bands.
with only bands with only a guitarist or two, a drummer, and a singer became popular. Of course, the most important singer of this music in the US was Elvis Presley. Like jazz, rock and roll inspired musicians from all over the world, such as the Beatles from England, to make some of the best and popular songs.
The best and most popular songs, The Yellow Submarine, for
Yes.
example, Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Okay, no, these are the kind of
Yes.
music the Beatles used to play. And Elvis Presley used to play Unchained Melody, which was the theme, the theme for a famous picture movie, which was Ghost. I don't know if you remember Ghost. 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 No? You never saw that
No.
movie? Okay. Well, as Elvis Presley was probably the first who sang, or I don't know if he was the first, but he was the one who made it popular. The song Unchained Melody. Unchained Melody uh, was then after Elvis Presley sang that melody, was sung by many other important famous singers all around the world in different languages, not only in English, but they were translated. I mean, his songs were translated to every language, from English to Spanish to Italian to Russian, inclusive, to many other different languages. So they had an influence on other different nationalities, right? And their music I mean, made all musicians around the world to play the same kind of rock and roll that he used to play. Okay. Now, tell me, is a guitarist, a drummer, and a singer was all they need. Only 4 people could have a band, a guitarist, probably a drum, you know, or 2 guitarists, 1 or 2 guitars, right? A drummer, and a singer was okay for a band, like the Beatles. The Beatles had 2 guitarists, 2 guitarists, hmm? 1 drummer,
Mm,
1 drummer, okay, and a singer.
okay.
4 people.
What is a drummer?
A drummer is the person who plays the drum. This is a drum, okay?
Okay.
The
Okay.
drum.
The batteries.
Okay, we say the battery, okay, the battery, because it has a plate, you know, and the percussion instruments, instruments that you play with sticks, or with your hands, right? With the sticks
Okay.
or with your hands, you know what a stick is, a stick or with your hands.
Okay.
Important because they play the drums that way. And, you know, a plate, yeah. But it was really, really good. They sounded, I mean, their music played was very good. Okay, now tell me, are there any words that you didn't understand in this part? In the 1950s, the rock and roll electric guitar began to remember, replace, a jazz
Replace.
horn. You know what a horn is? You know what a
No.
horn is? No?
No.
The horn is this. A cow has horns. That the horn is a musical instrument similar to the trumpet. Yeah? Similar to the trumpet, but it was bigger than the trumpet, the horn. It sounds like this.
Okay.
Okay? It was a horn. It wasn't
Okay.
like a big trumpet, okay? The horn. And it sounded very, very great, okay? Do you understand the
Okay.
idea? Okay.
Yes.
Electric guitar and the horn. The horn, was replaced by the electric guitar. Because most of the time, previously, the 1950s, the wind instruments like the horn or the trumpet were popular. But after the 50s, after the 50s, there was an imposition of the guitar, of the electric guitar in the music. Electric guitar and the battery, the drums, you know, and well, that was all. It was not necessary to play any trumpet or uh, any kind of other instrument like violins. Violins were popular before, but they didn't want to continue with violins or the Spanish guitar. No more Spanish guitars, but electric guitars imposed. Okay, so there was a change. Okay, now observe, only a guitarist or 2, only 1 or 2 guitarists, okay? A drummer and a singer became popular. That was all. Of course, the most important singer of this kind of music in the United States was Elvis Presley, okay? Like jazz, rock and roll inspired musicians. Inspired, when you say inspired, it means motivated
Okay.
from all over the world, such as the Beatles from England, to make some of the best and most popular songs. Okay, do you remember, apart from the Beatles, you have, for example, a famous singer was, the Rolling Stones. Do you know the Rolling Stones? Freddie Mercury.
No.
Do you remember the Freddie
No.
Mercury? One who died of
No.
AIDS. And those singers, they used to inject drugs because they used to smoke marijuana or whatever. You know, they were mad people. Many of them were mad, became mad. Yeah. But they inspired musicians, inspired, they motivated musicians from all over the world, such as the Beatles in England, and to make some of the best and most popular songs. I still remember a little bit about when I was at a university in the 1970s, huh? 20 years ago. I mean, the Beatles had been, Elvis Presley had been popular, and the Beatles had too, right? Do you understand the idea
Okay.
how music has changed?
Yes.
Okay. Now, any question about this paragraph? You have any question?
No.
Nope. Okay. Now, some words here are easy to find: inspired, motivated. Okay. Now, continue reading about the time when I was at the university, 1970s. I was at the university at the beginning of the 1970s, right? Continue reading.
Okay. In the 1970s, alternatives to rock and roll began to appear. Three of the most important new sounds were disco, punk, and hip hop. Disco was famous for the rich sound created by
Created. Okay.
created
Continue.
or create. Okay, create by
Cre-
studio music musicians
musicians, musicians.
musicians by studio musicians and the flashy clothes of the dancers. Punk was returned to small bands that played their own instruments very loud and fast and criticized the society and their songs. Hip hop began as a way to introduce record players to make music for parties without the need for musicians playing traditional instruments.
Okay, I have to tell you some changes about the pronunciation. Here, let's say when you pronounce this, okay, alternatives, okay, alternatives to rock and roll began to appear. Okay, three of the most important new sounds were disco, punk, and hip hop. Disco
Yeah,
was famous. Okay, repeat it after me, please. Famous, famous,
famous,
famous,
famous,
famous.
famous,
Okay, famous. This is relaxed when you say must. Famous,
m-
famous.
famous,
For the
famous,
rich sound created. Okay, repeat it for me, please. Created, created,
created.
created. Okay, observe, let me tell you something. When you pronounce a verb which has a final T or a final, like in create, for example, when you say created, huh? The ed, this ed is pronounced like ed, okay? The same happens with any verb that has a final D, like in, for example, need, when you pronounce need, huh? And you want to pronounce the, the past tense of the verb need, you know what you do? You have to pronounce id by the end. When you say needed, needed, created, you understand? So
Yeah.
every verb has a final T by the end, a final T by the end. For example, like invite, let me tell you, invite, you see? There is no final T or T, but there is a final, the sound is T. So when you pronounce invite. In past tense, you say invited. Invite. Okay. Do you understand this? Is this clear?
Yeah.
Okay, let me check it out. If you have another verb, let me tell you another verb which has a final E or D. In this case, okay, let me check it out. Another verb which has a final D. Let me find it out. Need.
Play it.
Huh?
Play it.
Played has no final D. Tell me a verb which has a final D. I don't remember any right now.
Oh, in the past tense?
Well, a verb that has a final D in present, so that when you pronounce it in past, you have to pronounce ed by the end. Okay, by the end.
Okay.
Okay. I'm so sleepy. I don't know. Let me check it out in my brain. Not possible. Well, whenever you have to pronounce this, created, the pronunciation is ed. So you pronounce id, different from other verbs that have a pronunciation which is like a final T, or for example, or a final D. When you say changed, music changed, you don't pronounce changed, no, but you pronounce changed. And the pronunciation of a final D is pronounced D, changed. But when you say, for example, the verb close, you have to pronounce closed, like a final E, closed. Okay? So there is a difference whenever you have a final T or D, and when you have other verbs that have a final S or a final G sound, you see?
Okay, so when I have a T already, I have to say created, invited, needed. But when I don't have E or T, I have to say changed or closed.
For example, changed, closed,
Okay,
like a final T, okay?
I understand.
But that's really, that's something that you have to practice whenever you have a verb in final. Oh, you see, contribute in past tense, contribute. What is the past tense for contribute? What is the past tense for this? What is it?
Contributed.
And
Yes.
whenever you have, when you have, let me close this so that I can move it here. Okay, let me find another. Taste. If it is a verb taste, how do you pronounce it, the past tense?
Tasted.
Tasted. Okay. Tasted. Okay. If the verb is emerge, how do you pronounce the past tense?
Emerged.
Like a final D. Emerged. When you have, for example, this verb dance. Come on, what is the past tense?
Of what?
Dance.
Oh, and dance.
Like a final T.
Danced.
When there is no vibration of the vowel chords here, there is no sound. When you pronounce dance, no vibration of the vowel chords. Dance. The final T is pronounced like a T. You pronounce it like dance. Okay, danced.
danced.
Okay, let me check another verb, which is here, another irregular verb here. Okay, pronounce this, please. Pronounce this.
Inspired.
Inspired. Inspired. Huh? Like a final D. Okay, and this is important if
Okay.
you want to pronounce correctly. Okay,
Heard.
look for another verb that you have here, if it is possible. You see another verb which is regular, used in past tense. What is the past tense for used?
Used.
Used, the same as danced, used. Okay, like a final T.
Yes.
Okay, put it in your brain.
Yes.
Put it in your brain so that you can learn all the regular verbs in English, and you will learn it. You will learn it. Let me find it out.
Yes.
If I can get another, because this is something that we have to get right now so that you can do it better for the next time. Criticized. Okay, how do you pronounce this?
Criticized.
Yeah, like a final D. You know why? Because when you pronounce criticize, there is kind of vibration in the vowel cords here. When you pronounce criticize, the end of the verb is like a mosquito flying. Okay, there is a sound. When there is a sound, you have to pronounce d by the end. Sized, sized, criticized. Okay, I know that it is, I know it is a little bit difficult at the beginning, but you have to practice more and more so that you can get it. Okay, now observe in the 1970s, okay, in the 1970s, okay, observe how music changed, okay? Alternative to rock and roll, alternatives to rock and roll began to appear. Huh? Are you there? Are you there? I guess you're not here. Okay. I don't know what